Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to your reading. Today we're going to be doing your new moon reading, and we're focused on any messages that come from spirit, anything that you need to know for manifestation in particular. So it's going to be a general reading. We're going to be looking at your standard pick a card. It is obviously designed for all signs. Some of the messages that you get may resonate, some of them may not. You guys already know the drill. If this is the first time that we're meeting, well, thank you for coming by. I'm so glad that you are here. My name is Meshi, and I'm an intuitive reader and a healer, and I do general oracle readings every single week. So if this is the first time that we're meeting, consider sticking around, because we talk about anything and everything spiritual practices, spirituality related, and we're all about intentional living and how you can live a more intentionally driven life. So if that sounds good, you would probably like it here. Okay, why don't we just dive right into the video. So as you can tell, I have three different decks, three different piles I have in front of me. I already cleansed the decks and I pre-pulled to kind of save a little bit on time. And let's look at your first crystal. So here we have your beautiful rose quartz. Then we have your tiger's eye. And we have your smooth, clear quartz. Take a moment, take a deep breath, get centered, and pick your deck, and let's get started. As usual, timestamp is going to be in the description. Alrighty, so if you have picked your beautiful rose quartz, then this reading is going to be for you. So let's see what's happening with you, what the spirit really want you to know for this new moon. And I'm releasing this early so that you can actually contemplate, do a little bit of journaling here. So right off the gate, we have the 10 of coins, which is essentially your 10 of pentacles. So I feel like things are going to be in balance, or you're bringing them into balance. I feel like you're really working on not only being grateful, but also bringing in abundance. And I feel like you're really tapping into energetically of how you can really manifest all of the things. So I feel like there's definitely, if you don't feel this just yet, Spirit wants you to know that the wavelength that you're on right now, it's going to catapult you. It's going to move you towards the things that you've been longing for, something that has been in the works. We're moving into new moon in Libra, which is all about planting the seeds. But I also feel like here you're kind of bringing that more, you're more solidifying sort of the things that you have been working on. You're invited to kind of slow down a little bit, though, with Mercury being in retrograde. So just keep that in mind, that while we're in that transitional phase, definitely double check all the things that you are doing, but keep working on it, because all of these aspects of your life that you've been really paying extra attention to, just maybe sharpen up those skills just a little bit and really get grounded within those practices. Patience and planning. So this kind of goes hand in hand with what I just mentioned a moment ago. And definitely during a Mercury retrograde, you definitely don't want to fear this. You want to really get grounded and really practice patience. This is not the time where you really want to attach to speed. You really want to attach your idea of success to speed, or the way or how quickly things will fall into place, because certain things, keep in mind, like this is a very heavily condensed space that we live in. So it does take time to not only to manifest things, but to manifest them in a way that you imagined it. But if you look, it's also honoring the seasons. It's honoring the season that you are in and really withstanding, because I'm getting solidity, even though it's talking about patience and planning, but I'm really, you want to kind of create a foundation that can withhold the test of time. I think that one of the biggest thing is that when we get this idea of it needs to be fast or it needs to be a certain way, then we kind of lose sight of, we kind of cut corners. So really you're invited to make sure that you're withstanding the test of time in whatever area of your life you're manifesting. If you know, like if you have been working on manifesting a partner or manifesting a business, it does take time and planning, and it's almost like you need to think of all areas of that endeavor in order for it to really come to fruition, and come to fruition in a way that it's going to withstand time. And hold the vision, create practices, create those things around you that really allow you to stay connected. Because I find that it's like you might get discouraged if you're not seeing progress, or you might get discouraged if you're feeling like it's not happening fast enough. And really Spirit is telling you that it is manifesting the way that you hope it would. However, you have to create, it's up to you to really just sprinkle it in your day-to-day life. Sprinkle that vision so that emotionally and physically and energetically, more importantly, you are continually connected to whatever you want to create, whatever it is that you feel like it's going to bring you harmony. Limitless. See yourself open to receive in the most miraculous ways. The divine can use anything and anyone. I think that this is all about just really being open to not being rigid in a way that you're going to manifest your dreams, not being rigid in what it actually becomes, because sometimes we have this idea of what it actually is, but then we also get really stuck on how it needs to come to fruition. And if that doesn't happen, then we're really quick to write that off as a failure, rather than just allowing it to shapeshift into whatever it needs to become, which means that you're creating space for it to become what it needs to become. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes our visions are not complete. We're only getting bits and pieces of the puzzle. And so if you can not only hold that vision for yourself, but be patient and know that each and every day you're working towards manifesting that dream, and know that there is no limit as to when or how that's going to kind of come into play, or you never know. It's sort of like just knowing that energetically what you put out, the right people will, and the right opportunities will actually find you. So it's sort of like you have to really lean in on your faith, but then that also, it also involves you actually creating that space where you can hold that vision for yourself, right? Because nobody else is going to do that. Then we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. We have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Three of Wands and the Queen of Swords. Okay, let's talk about this. I feel like there's some aspects of your path that you don't even know where it's going to take you. You don't know where it's going to lead you. But I think that especially with it's almost like it only gets illuminated when a divine timing, and rushing that and wanting it to happen faster is not going to make it manifest any faster. Do you know what I mean? So like when you're focused on, just know that whatever needs to unfold, it's going to happen not only in divine timing, but with the right people. You know what I mean? So it's almost as if just to trust that when it's the right time, or trust that where you're moving towards, because like we already know you're moving in the right direction. So I think when, especially if you were gravitated towards the rose quartz, then that really tells me that you are connecting back to heart center. You are doing those things for yourself where really you're leading from the heart, and just trusting that the direction that you're going into is the one that is truly in alignment for you. And know that the money will come, you know, money will come, the balance comes. Going through that transformation is, of course, important. I think that this is definitely all about recalibration for you. I think that things can be too much, and when you're focused so much solely on not only when will things happen, but how will it happen. I think that it can really shift your focus. So again, this kind of goes back to the support system that is going to be available for you. I think that you really need to kind of pay attention to where can you delegate, where can you reduce that pressure financially, mentally. Sometimes it's not just the money. Sometimes it's also about taking up more mental space, which means that you don't have that much mental space left for creating, or you don't have that much mental space left for you to really recharge your batteries, right? I think that when we get so caught up in thinking that we need to be doing all of the things, and we forget to kind of take care of ourselves. The Three of Wands, we're kind of, and then you're sort of looking out into it all and wonder not only what's ahead of you, but also when will it happen. And I think that you need to take this essential step of really delegating and really reducing some of your stress load while holding the vision. But holding the vision also means that you become really clear of why you're doing the things that are important, and what is actually essential for you, and what is something that can be delegated or subbed out, right? With the Three of Wands, you're really looking out into all of the possibilities, right? But I think that you will definitely have to embrace that Queen of Swords energy. This is the energy that you will absolutely need to embody, where you're not so connected to your emotions, but you're really connected to, these are the things that need to be done in order for me to really have that vision come to life, truly come to life, not just a version of it, right? So I think that understanding that will be very important. I think that embodying this and really creating delegating certain aspects of your day-to-day will be extremely important, and really keep an eye out on what and who and what systems are available to you right now, so that things can become a little bit less of a grind and more of an effortless flow. Because to me, the Ten of Coins is all about flow and effortless and ease, and moving with ease within that balanced state, right? But for you to, it's almost like you need to kind of take this journey, and to get there, you need to really embody not only the Queen of Swords energy, but also holding that vision of where you're going, and really build a really solid foundation so that you can actually get all of the things that you really want. This is all I have for you guys. Stay tuned until the very end. I will be pulling a couple of manifestation cards that will help you really embody different mantras that I think will help you manifest a little bit easier this month. So let's go. Okay, group number 2. If you have chosen this crystal, then this reading is going to be for you. So let's get started. So right out the gate, we have your Six of, well, in this case, it's rods, but it's your Six of Wands. Six of Wands energy really talks about celebration, like really being victorious, really acknowledging all of the things that you have accomplished. Spirit wants you to know that what you have accomplished, you need to really slow down, especially this week with the new moon and with Mercury being in retrograde. Slow down your progress and really take time to not only celebrate, but also acknowledge your accomplishments. They're so important. I think that taking that in and creating some balance for yourself, where you're not just on to the next thing. I feel that some of you might be so attached to speed that it's almost as if you're not really sure like, what does that look like to take time to celebrate, to take time to, it's almost like you need to slow down to speed back up, right? And that it's the waiting game. It's knowing that things take time. You need to kind of run the miles. You need to not only run the miles, but you really need to be patient. Be patient that what you planted or what you're about to plant will take root, and it will work out one way or another, because even when things don't work out, then it does take some time to recalibrate, right? So that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind, that you need to run the miles. If it's a new skill set, it will take time for you to really become an expert within that area. If you planted new roots in different areas of your life, it does take time for it to kind of get grounded and rooted down, for it to become strong and to hold the weight that essentially you're going to be putting on there. Keep in mind, like when you have a really weak foundation, it's really difficult to place any weight on things, right? So this can, now without speaking in metaphors, this can speak to your work where maybe you want a promotion, or this can very much, I think that it's definitely going to be a process for you to really allow it to come to fruition the way that you're thinking it should come to fruition. And I feel like this is more about your work than anything else. What do you need to release? So for some of you, I feel like this new moon energy is going to be about taking time to reflect and taking time to really double check what's working, like really leaning in on like slowing down this role, but then taking time to really see what's working. What are the practices that are working for you, that are healing for you? What are the practices that are really not serving you at this time? I think that you might be hanging on to something that, well, I think that we're all hanging on to something at any given time, but really hanging on to something and taking time to really lean in and figuring out how that's not serving you is going to be key in moving forward in a more positive way. And perhaps taking that time while you're, as you go through this process of transformation, I think that it will be really important for you to kind of also check in at each step of the game and see if it's really working for you or not. Because sometimes we tend to do things because we feel like we should, or we tend to do things because we feel like it's going to make a difference, when in retrospect, it's so interesting because it's really only a very limited few number of activities that actually have the ability to create like this mass impact, this mass momentum. And sometimes we tend to think that we need all of the bells and whistles and all of the things in order for us to really move forward in a progressive way, right? Like move forward in a way that is going to be really beneficial. Again, I'm kind of getting that, like, it's so interesting. Like we think that we need all of this extra stuff, even within relationships, right? Like even when we're looking to manifest different partnerships, like we have this idea sometimes that like all of these different things have to come together in perfect harmony in order for us to kind of be worthy. But just, I always feel like this more speaks to like letting our own inner demon, our own inner insecurities really come to light. And it's almost like you need to kind of journal on this and really figure out, am I doing this because it's actually going to be serving me? Or am I doing this because it's my insecurities that are really creeping up and I feel like I need that to feel safe? Because there's a really big difference between the two. And then we have extraordinary. There's a wild and impetuous uniqueness to you that deserves to be honored. So again, this kind of speaks to what we were just talking about here, where I think that especially right now, Spirit really wants you to know and embrace your own unique way of doing things, your own unique style. And that's definitely going to be different than what others are used to. Perhaps, you know, you're presenting yourself in a way that is not in alignment with how people perceive you or how people want to accept you, right? But knowing that's usually where, like, being unique is such a beautiful thing, because then it means that you have the courage to kind of step away from the norm, right? Because being the same as everyone else is boring. It really is. And it's up to you of how you infuse your own unique style into what you do. So that part is totally up to you. Okay, let's see. I think it's actually like this. Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. We have a Ten of Pentacles in reverse. We have Three of Swords in reverse, and we have a Two of Swords upright. Okay, let's unpack this. So with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, I think that all of these different things, it kind of goes back to this waiting game. I think that that's sort of turning things on its head. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's like a moving with the seasons, but moving with the times, right? And I feel like this is definitely speaking to, it's definitely speaking to what's happening with Mercury retrograde. It's like, take time, celebrate your wins, but also slow down your roll. I think that you really need to kind of look at like what is actually influencing me to do the things that I feel like I should be doing. I'm definitely getting a lot more shoulding than I really want to hear right now. I'm getting a lot more of, it's almost like, I'm not getting regret, but I'm definitely getting like you're pushing yourself a little bit harder than you want to, and you're not sure why. You know what I mean? I'm not getting the clarity as to how that's actually going to get you. I feel like you're telling yourself that it's going to get you to where you want to go. I feel like you're definitely letting perhaps other people influence the way that you're doing things. Perhaps it's almost like you're letting outside circumstances influence what you do in a way that is not in alignment for you. And I think that that's, if you kind of continue to go down that path, it's going to burn you out. And that's what we have with the Ten of Pentacles, being too greedy, being too attached to all of the materialistic things. It's almost like the drive that you have of what you want to manifest. You're getting a little too attached to not just how it's going to manifest, but you're not seeing how much value you already have to offer the world. You know, I think that it's almost like you need to gain a new perspective on truly what does abundance really look like for you, and what does that really feel like for you, because emotionally and energetically, when you tap into that, sometimes it's not actually about the money. It's not about the material wealth. Sometimes it's about options and about really being in alignment with people that surround you, being supported, being emotionally fulfilled with the work that you do, right? Being in relationships when you feel heard and seen and appreciated and seen for your gifts. So with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like you picked like the one thing that is like your true north, and that's only like part of the story, right? I feel like you're only getting a portion of the story because you're not seeing the big picture of how planting the seeds and really developing your skill in whatever area, whether that's, you know, maybe you're learning a new hobby, maybe, you know, it's developing you spiritually, maybe it's a new spiritual practice, whatever it is. I feel like Spirit really, really wants you to just slow it down, really double check what's actually serving you, if it's serving you, and then move forward. And then with the Three of Swords, I think that the reason why you're doing that, or you were doing that, or you're going to be doing that, is because you have that memory of like what it's like to not just lose, what it's like to really not get what you want, right? But then also not feeling enough, just not feeling like, when you're doing all the things, it's still not enough to sustain you, not enough to really make you feel fulfilled or proud. And that's ultimately one of the number one things that you need to do. You need to really lean in on your gratitude, lean in on your faith, lean in on appreciate all the things and celebrate your wins, because then how will you manifest more of that? How will you manifest more if nothing's ever enough? So it's almost like we're really getting to the root of what you need to release. And what you actually need to release is this idea that you need more in order for you to be happy, you know? And see the value that you bring to other people, because when you open up those channels of how you show up in the world, then that can really start kind of coming back towards you. I also feel like with the Two of Swords, it's like, I think that a lot of this is just really bringing equilibrium. Yeah, this goes hand in hand, and isn't it funny how it actually aligns with extraordinary? This goes back to when you're at a crossroads and you're trying to figure out which way to go on what feels more in alignment. A lot of it will really come down to what feels energetically more in alignment for you, what actually brings you balance and equilibrium. And all of these other cards are really leading you into that. Release that idea of what was in the past. Release the grip on just the material and tap deeper into this, because it will take time for you to, figure out really what brings alignment for you. But when you take the time, that's what this Two of Swords is all about. This is all I have for you guys right now that I wanted to share. Stay tuned until the end so I can pull a couple of manifestation cards to help you really bring things back into balance, bring things into to really help you manifest a little bit easier and with more ease for this new moon. So let's go to group number 3. Okay, group number 3, if you have chosen this clear quartz, hopefully we're focusing, then this reading is going to be for you. So let's get started. So right out of the gate, we have your Page of Blades, which is really your Page of Swords. Things can manifest either way, right? And this can be an issue if you don't really know. It's like you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of getting right now, that you don't know what you don't know. So try not to get yourself involved in areas that really not only don't really affect you, they don't pertain to you. It's not for you to speak ill about them, so just let that be, because the more you get involved in things like that, the more it's not really going to be serving you. If anything, it ends up stealing your attention and your energy. Then we have Shadow. What is this new moon bringing out in you? I feel like you really have the ability, and I feel like you're really starting to see not just how you are, but how you are at home. I think that you're really starting to see like this new moon energy. It's really going to ask you to bring a sense of balance, to bring that sense of equilibrium. Especially Libra is all about tipping the scale in a way that it brings equilibrium, right? But especially with how many conjunctions that we have going on with this entire week, I think that there's a lot more to it than that. I think that you're going to have to really pay attention to not just the way that you communicate with others, but the way that, and I mean like that speaks to this, but you're going to have to pay attention to the way that you communicate to yourself. What does your internal dialogue look like? Because right now that really wants to poke its ugly head through, and witnessing it and really embracing it with love, embracing it and integrating that shadow aspect of yourself, integrating that part of yourself that is not so nice, or the way that you show up. Really, I feel like right now you're just not at that point in your path where you really can be in too much denial about this. I think that you're really going to have to kind of see how you can really integrate aspects of yourself and really accept them and love them just as much as you love the strengths about you, right? Time for healing. Absolutely. I feel like some of you are going to be doing some shadow work with this new moon. I think that it's definitely going to be a time for reflection, time for going within, but also reflecting on and seeing sort of from a different point of view of what happened, and really not in a non-attached way, right? I feel like this was your past, and I feel like if this is getting you triggered, then that's where you're invited to really embrace not only what is, but embrace how you can move forward. I feel like this is definitely coming up in your relationships for sure, perhaps the way that you're speaking to others, your workplace, the way that you might be getting yourself involved in gossip and getting yourself involved with other people's business. I feel like there's just, I don't know, I feel like right now perhaps you're in a space where a lot of you are being really presented. It's almost like the universe is really testing some of you. Just see what happens, right? Like it's almost like you're being presented with situations, you're being presented with circumstances where really like this darker, older energy is coming through that is really not who you are anymore, but it's coming up so you heal it. It's not coming up because that's who you are anymore, but it's coming up so you heal it and transmute it, right? And letting it go. Here you go. Everything is indeed out of control, and God will hold it all, and I can safely let go. I think that you might have been, or you will be trying to kind of fix it. I feel like you really want to logic your way out of this for sure, but it's coming up. Honestly, if you're finding that certain things are coming up right now, especially during Mercury retrograde, where communication is like the way that you portray information, the way that you internalized information is going to be just a little bit off. Walking into it full well knowing that that's the season that we're in, and just lovingly let it just be what it needs to be, instead of trying to change it and fix it and logic your way out of it, is going to be key. I feel like for some of you, it's definitely a time for witnessing and letting go aspects of yourself that are really not serving you anymore, because it's in the past. And let's see what we have for tarot. We have the Fool in reverse. We have the Lovers. We have the Eight of Pentacles, and we have the Ten of Swords. I don't feel like this is in order, but that's okay. That's how we're gonna go, and we're gonna rock with it today. I feel like you have a hard time with the letting go part. I feel like you have a hard time with all of these things, because you have a really hard time not only trusting yourself, but trusting that you're going to be held. I feel like you have just been hanging on and fixing things for so long. Again, I'm getting that this is all happening in your relationship. I feel like you have such a hard time just taking a leap of faith, taking that and seeing that magical transformation that it is available to us all. I feel like you have a really, it's almost like you had like this, or perhaps you have this really pessimistic look on things of how it's not going to work out, and then you call that being a realist, rather than, and this is how I know, because the Lovers and Lovers in reverse, the Venus energy, the self-love, it's almost like the shadow that's really coming up, that is asking you to really look at these things, is also about that inner love that you really need to have for yourself. I don't feel like this is about other people. This is absolutely about yourself. I think that you have a lot of things that are like boiling to the surface that really are asking you to not only witness it, but to just accept it. Accept that that's also part of you. Accept that your wounds are just as much of a part of you as all of your talents and all of your gifts. And by the way, through those hardships, we find our gifts, because we heal and we transmute them. I'm just saying. Then we have your Eight of Pentacles, which is all about like honoring that journey, honoring that process. And I mean, if nothing else, if you take nothing, it's honoring that at every step of the way, there's a new gem, there's a new thing that you will discover, that it's actually going through this journey that takes so much more than just getting the gifts at each given, because eventually you're going to be so desensitized to like all of the things. You're going to be desensitized to money, you're going to be desensitized to fame, you're going to be desensitized at some point to getting the attention, and because eventually it's just becoming your normal, right? But honoring with gratitude and committing to that beginner's mind, committing to really enter into, it's almost like you need to enter into each day within your relationships with a fresh new set of eyes. Like look at your partner the way that you looked at them when you first met. That excitement, that spark, that energy that you really brought to all of it, and really honor the fact that you are going through this transformation so that things can heal and be released. And I also feel like there's just, you're trying to kind of hold it all together. I definitely feel like you think that by holding it all together, by being in denial that things are not falling apart, by absorbing it all instead of letting it go, because look what she's hanging on to, all the swords, and what Spirit is really asking you to do. Spirit is asking you to don't hold it anymore. Why are we hanging on to backpacks that are filled with rocks that is not ours? Why are we still carrying things that are really so much in the past that it's not even relevant to our day-to-day anymore? You know, like you need to really ask yourself, what is ready to be left behind? What is something so outdated that it's not, it's sort of like, it's like you're hanging on to a cassette that like your first boyfriend made you in like high school, because, you know, they heard your feelings on, you know, 5th grade or whatever. I just think that at some point you're going to have to kind of really take a look at what's going on, and then learn how you can release them in a loving way, integrate the parts of you that really need healing and allow it to actually transmute, because the more you accept and you love yourself, the more you're giving others the opportunity to love you the same, because you're really integrating that back into yourself, like, so that it's not this mismatch of energy that's constantly showing up trying to pretend to be something else, right? This is all I have for you guys, group number 3. Stay tuned until the very end so I can pull a couple of manifestation cards that you can use for this new moon, and perhaps you can use them in your new moon ritual. So let's go. Okay, friends, we have made it to the very end. First of all, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. And let's pull a couple of manifestation cards. I really want to see what's... Okay. I choose to be a super attractor and have unwavering faith in the universe. I think that understanding that you choose your own energy, you choose your own destiny is going to be key. And realigning your energy in a way that is going to be serving you and getting you towards what you actually want is going to be key. And here we go. A spiritual alignment puts my manifestation into motion. These two are knowing, it's almost like you need to lean in on your faith, knowing that what you're pulling towards you is absolutely coming true, but then also it's up to you to realign your own energy in a way that is going to serve you. This is all I have for you. I hope that you have found this helpful and useful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys again tomorrow with another reading. Bye.